Hi. So I decided to split this into two parts basically because I didn't fucking finish it when I wanted to. So I'm gonna just end it here and then do another part. This is my sort of first attempt at a really comprehensive break tutorial. So in this video we will go from the basics from FL Slicer to little edits, you know, concepts of like how velocities work. So you're gonna see it. There's time codes in the description, and then in the second part we will I try to, at least that's the plan right now, to you know, look at like how to combine all of this stuff into like an actual sort of like break sequence, and then we like, you know, like just repeat what we do now and like do a little more tricks, you know, and try to like do something more comprehensive. Also, if you have any questions, put them down below. I try to answer them in the next video, and then, you know, the next video will come out in a few months. Yeah, so we'll now jump back a few weeks ago, and where I had a different haircut and different glasses and all of that. So yeah, cool. I think that's it. Also, please remember that only few things are FL Studio specific. A lot of these things are also applicable to, you know, other DAWs like Ableton and stuff like that. And also be aware that I might explain some things quite wrongly. I just watched a bit about granulizing, and I think I just completely messed that up. And yeah, just keep that in mind. Yeah, cool. So enjoy the video. So let's just first of all familiarize ourselves with our tool, our main tool. So there's basically two ways of cutting a break in FL Studio. So one of them is in the playlist as audio, and the other one is in FL Slicer or SliceX. And I will use Slicer because I think that the piano roll of FL Studio lends itself very well to doing that, because it's a lot more quick and flexible than other piano rolls and other DAWs. So we're gonna do that. First of all, we're gonna choose a break. I have these Ghost Syndicate breaks here, which are really good. They're from a pack called Alphabet Breaks, and I'm just gonna go through and choose one. So that one sounds good. So if you want to open something in Slicer, you just right click and you click open a new Slicer channel, and that automatically opens a new Slicer channel. So yeah, you see that FL Slicer has opened right here, and you see that the waveform has been loaded in, and you can see all the different cuts in here. And usually FL Slicer does an amazing job in pre-cutting everything. So you can see here there's pretty much every slice here is perfect. This one too, yeah, even though there's a little fade in there, but yeah, like we're not gonna have any issues. If FL Slicer doesn't recognize the tempo of the sample correctly, you can adjust the BPM of the sample here, or you can put the length in if you're not sure how many BPMs there are. But this has already done it. But let's say this was at, you know, like the length here isn't correct and it says 155 or whatever, you know, you can just drag that up to whatever the sample is, because most of the time samples have the BPM in the name. Or you can just approximate it by, you know, just listening to the sample and be like, oh, that's, you know, that's 8 beats or whatever, you know, and then you can type that in, or like put that in up here as well. And that's all you have to know basically. You can also use pitch and time stretching, pitch shifting and time stretching here. So if we play this pattern here, we will pitch shift the break up or down. You can also time stretch. You can also right click auto detect, which like in some cases doesn't do anything because the tempo is already correct, but like here we have to auto detect, and now it will stretch every slice to be the perfect length. but we don't have to do that. So yeah, this is at 172 BPM, 32 beats, and yeah, we will now go into the piano roll, and you can see all of the slices have been mapped. They have different names here, and we can just basically already start sequencing the break. So we'll hit delete and delete all of the stuff, and then we can start. So now that we loaded in our break, we'll just start sequencing. So I will just put down a basic pattern, and we will just go from there. So we have a kick, right? We have this little break roll here. Yeah. Right. And then we have the snare here. Well, not a kick here, but there's a snare there. And then we have like all the rolly stuff here. I don't actually know this break, so. Yeah, and then in the piano roll in FL Studio we can do a few really cool things, and the first really cool thing that we can do is we can hit Control and B, and that will duplicate what we selected. This is something that you have to watch out for, because if you select stuff like this, it will put the beginning of what you selected at the end of what you selected. So in this case it's not a problem because this ends right at this note here, but like if there's just a little bit of a difference here and you wanna copy that over, then at first this looks fine, but if you do this a few times, then all of a sudden, this is already like really out of time. So it's already it's always a good idea to either watch out that everything is the correct length, or what is preferable, that we select it up here. So we select all of this stuff in this timeline and then we copy that over, because now the gap here is still there, but everything is in time, and if we go at the end of this, it's still in time. Right, so let's just make this long again or whatever, and we will select this and just copy that over again. So now we've already took this break here, right? And we already did something with it. So we took that and we made it just a standard drum bass pattern, right? So now is basically already the time to be creative. So like, what can you do with this? And like, one of the most important aspects for me when you're making breaks is that you try to make them interesting, right? But not like overbearing, you know. Like a lot of things that I hear is when people figure out how to do edits, and like I'm fucking guilty of this as well, by the way, is you know, people just spamming edits, and like I'm trying to you know, with this video or this video series, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be a long video, I don't know yet. I'm trying to like teach you the valuableness of rhythm, basically, you know. So let's go in here and let's have a look at how we can spice this up without making any effects. We're just gonna use the normal break slices and velocity. So velocity is important because velocity is basically the volume at which the slice plays. So if you just open the piano roll standardly, you can see that at the bottom here you have all of these little lines, right? And these lines work per note. So if you select this note, you can see it also selects this thing, and then I can just play around with this. So I can click and drag here, And that's the velocity of that. So if I just loop this section, this kick here, it's quiet, quieter, louder, quieter. And like I said, this works per note, you know. There's a standard loudness here, but yeah, other than that, it's yeah, it's just normal. It's just velocity for every note. So let's have a look at how we can spice this up. So one thing we can do is this already, and basically every break has that, like this little break roll here, you know, like this little snare here, or whatever that is. It's like, I can't tell if it's a fucking hi-hat or a snare, like it's so quiet. Let's just say it's a snare. Usually that's where the ghost snare is. For in the Amen break, for example, this is where the ghost snare would be. So we have a snare, and then a hat, and then a quiet snare, and then a hat and a quiet snare, and that's basically a break roll. Yeah, so we can use this to no, we can use the normal snare in a break to make this roll a little bit more interesting. So as I just said, like the ghost snare is basically just a normal snare, or like a snare played very quietly. So if you think about like how you would play the drum, you know, with a tuck, tick, tick, because you don't have as much time to like do, you know, big swings. You know, if you do like a break roll very quickly, if you play it like automatically, like the distance you can hit the drum at is gonna be shorter for like the roll, because you know you're down here, because you have to do it you have to do it quieter. So what we're now gonna do, we're gonna take this snare, the main snare here, and we're gonna put that on the roll here, and then we're gonna listen to this. That sounds very choppy, right? But if we select those two notes here, and we're gonna make this quieter here, you know, already you have like a little bit of more like snappy sort of, right? And you can maybe like, yeah, and already there's like a little, yeah, perfect. Now let's have a look. What else can we do? So we can just emulate a sort of normal Amen pattern, right? So what we can do then is, if you listen to the Amen, there's usually like a little like double kick like right here, but there's just one kick here right now. So let's make this double kick, right? We can just copy this over, and then we just make the little thing here quieter. We can basically do that by clicking and holding, and then using the mouse wheel to like change the value of whatever is down there. So let's just make that quieter. So I don't like the sound of that. Let's try fading it in a little bit, making the first note a little bit quieter in the second. Yeah. But I can now hear that there's a little space missing here, you know, like the kicks are playing, but like this sounds like it's cutting out a little bit, if that makes sense. So for these kicks here, there's a little energy missing. And usually if you hear energy missing, that's you establishing a sort of high-end, like high-frequency thing with hats and stuff like that. And then if that's missing, then it's gonna sound like a little bit empty, I guess. So I'm gonna play this a few times, because I know this is like boring beginner stuff, but like it's so important for you to like develop an ear for this if you're trying to make interesting breaks. So like let's listen to this a few times and try to pay attention to the high end and like the hat patterns in this. So like where the hats are, and how those hats are impacted, or like the flow of the break is impacted when those hats aren't playing, when the kicks come in here. So let's just have a listen to that. Right? I don't know, like this is probably subjective, but I'm just gonna copy over those snares, those hats, And by the way, this has copied over these things here, like over there, because I still selected a time when I hit Control B. So yeah, if you want to do that, don't do that. Just unselect the timeline and select the things, and Control B, and it does it normally again. So what I did is I just copied over this first tat here without the ghost snare or whatever, and copied that over twice, layered it over the breaks, and then I made it pretty quiet. And now I think the energy of the break isn't missing as much, so we're gonna A/B this quickly. I'm gonna mute this. It's a subtle difference, but I think it's quite an important one. So yeah, we already made a very sort of like different kind of flowing thing from this to this. You know, but the basic pattern is still a snare. You know, it's kick, snare, kick, snare. You know, all we did is we just added a few things, little velocity, and we spice it up. Now, on the basis of all of this stuff, we can expand on it indefinitely. You know, like I've just made this little drum pattern here. You know, and all that is just all of the stuff that I already showed you. You know, it's that, and it sounds completely full of myself, but it's true. It's a ear for rhythm, you know, and like that's something that literally just comes with time. Like I didn't have that at all. If you watch that video that I did or will do soon, with you know, my old tracks, it's a catastrophe basically. But you know, like over time you just get an ear for this kind of thing, and like this obviously isn't complex whatsoever, you know, but we yeah, it's just the stuff that I already established, you know. I just copy pasted these rolls here a few times, and I just had a listen of like, you know, what would sound good here. You know, and you can get like a little bit of like humanness in here, you know, humanize it a little bit with like a little more like volume automation. Even though like in the mix you will probably not be able to hear this, but so yeah, what we will now do is we will now play a little bit with the length of the notes. You know, that will do the opposite of what I just said. It will dehumanize what we're doing, but you can get some really interesting effects out of this. So what I will do here is I will take this roll right here, and I will select all of these notes here, and then I will just make them shorter. You can you know that, like, if you've worked with this before, that this will snap to like the grid. But like if you hold the Alt key and then you do this, then it will not snap to the grid. So like I have the Alt key still held down right now. No, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, so I will just shorten these a little bit, and then we have a listen to what that sounds like now. you know, see, I just shortened a few of these notes, and like it already gives it a lot more rhythm, you know, and we're still not doing anything complex really. We're still operating on like the kind of standard sort of, you know, like a little bit standard, like jungle-y type, you know, modern jungle type drum patterns, you know, like none of this is like particularly complex, you know, you can still follow the beat quite easily. And yeah, the decisions of where I did this now, I could just literally just hear it. Like I was playing around with the velocity on here, on these snares here, right? I was doing that with the velocity, but like it didn't quite hit that spot for me there. You know, like this first snare here was like quite, like I needed something to like separate that snare from the other snare. So by shortening that, you can get like a nice little like choppy sort of like, you know, but like it is a rhythmic sort of choppiness. You know what I mean? Like it's an exciting thing to like hear. You know, you're like, oh, this is like, there's like something interesting going on here. It's rhythm, but we didn't really change anything with the rhythm. We just like made a few notes shorter. You know. You know, and that's also a nice way of making breaks more interesting. So now I want to do something a little bit more complex. So we've learned how to place notes, we've learned how to shorten notes, we've learned how velocity works, but we're now gonna learn how to retrigger snares. So we can do really cool stuff with really fast snares. So what we can do is we can just copy this over here. So now instead of the kicks, there's a little gap here. Let's do it here as well, right? So I want to find something to fill that space with, right? Let's find another snare because it will be easier to see if we don't do it in this lane because it's a break, so all the snares are going to be the same, I think. At least most of them, you know, like this one here is not the same. But we're ignoring stuff like this for now. So we're going to find this slice 13 here. So let's select this. Do it here as well. Select this, and then we hit another keyboard shortcut. So remember, Alt B is copy, and Alt U will open the chopper. And the chopper is a very cool tool where you can just select it and then select a note and then, you know, make it retrigger it basically in an interval that you want. So this note is too short to see anything on the higher two levels, but if we use this time multiply knob here, we can retrigger it. So you see it like slices in half, then in 4, then in 8, then in 16, you know, 16 notes, but this is too quick. So we want to do 4. So these are 30-second notes, you know, like these are 16th notes here, and then we will retrigger that to be 30-second notes. So yeah, because you know, 32 notes in a bar. This is 4. This is 8, this is 16, and this is half a bar. So it's 32 notes per bar, and that's how you count that. But yeah, so let's listen to this as it is now. You know, and like, it's fine. You know, we can shorten this maybe a little bit, and then maybe it's gonna sound a little bit cooler. But, you know, there's still something kind of off about this. So what I like to do is I like to make this a little roll here. You know, we can do it either like this, or what we can also do, and this is another thing, you know, like it's gonna be a lot. I'm gonna repeat this every time I do it, you know, but if you right click on these things and then hold right click and you drag, you can do little like lines basically, you know, from where you started to where you're ending up. So right click and then click and hold, yeah, we can do like little cool sort of lines here. So what we want to do is we're going to do it like this, and then we're going to like fade it in, right? So up like this and up like this. We're not going to hit full velocity because we want to fade in sort of to full velocity, which is going to beat the snare here, right? So if we look at where those snares are, it's going to fade in up to full velocity. So now let's listen to it like this. It sounds a lot better now, you know, because now we're going to have like a little, you know, like the dynamics are there, but yeah, like I said, it's just like a flow thing, kind of. You know, with full velocity, it sounds like a little bit too choppy for me, but like this, it sounds a lot smoother and like, you know, cool, I guess. So we've copied this over here, and then we can put the same thing over here. And it already is a lot more complex sounding, even though we're still following the same rhythm, but like instead of the kicks, we just replace this now with like little sort of re-triggered snares. So velocity isn't the only parameter that you can select down here. If you go to the control section here and you click on here, you have a lot of like different parameters here that you can use, but one that we want to use right now is the fine pitch. So if we go to fine pitch, you can see that all of these are in the middle. Yeah, and this is the basic pitch. So this is the normal pitch of the sample. If you go up, you pitch it up, of course, and if you go down, you can pitch it down. So with fine pitch, this goes up like 2 or 4 octaves. Like, it's crazy how far that goes up. So what you can do is on the right side of here, you can actually not see that. I will just move my window in OBS here quickly. If you go to the right side here, there's a little thing here, just underneath the scroll bar. If you click and hold that, you can zoom in. Nothing happens right now, but if I go up here, for example, you can see like this snaps to the thing because we zoomed all the way in. Here, like this snaps to like different values. And if we do it like this and we zoom out again, you can see, oh, this barely is up now. So if you want to like increase this little zoom here, you can do that. I like to do that because I don't want to pitch it all the way up. But yeah, now we're zoomed in a little bit, we can now start pitching up and down a few snares. So what I want to do is I want to pitch up, pitch down, or play with the pitch of these things here in the fill in the last bar. So let's just listen to what we have again. Yeah, so we go here. And then again, we can click and hold and then use our mouse wheel to like select this thing here. Oh, this is too far in, too far zoomed in. Yeah, I'm just noticing that this snare doesn't sound good when it's pitched down, which happens with some breaks. But we're gonna make that work. I'm gonna drag this down again, and then yeah, we're gonna. So yeah, now that we pitched this down. You know, and we're already quite complex now. Like, it's not super complex because we're still following the same basic pattern that we had a few sections ago, but we've already like did something to it that makes it a lot more, you know, synthetic and like crazy and sort of, you know, jungly and, you know, all of that sort of good stuff. I think, you know, like we've done something with just this break here, you know. And like, I mean, there's edits in the break already, but you know, you remember what it sounded like before, right? And that's how you use pitching. Can maybe just do this a little bit. That also doesn't sound very good. Nice. So I think that these snares suck, the pitch down ones. They sound like plasticky and like not very good. So what I've done is I've loaded up another break. So now we're alternating between breaks. So this is just a normal sounding, quite rough think break. But I really like think snares, and we're gonna listen to an audio example of someone who was actually really good at this in a bit. But yeah, I've loaded in the think break, and I've placed these notes here where the snares go that I don't like. So we're gonna mute these, and we're gonna listen to it with the snares here. You can alternate between things in the piano roll by double right-clicking on stuff that you already placed, or if you haven't placed it yet, you can go up here to where it says piano roll, and it says the name of the channel that you selected. If you click here, you have all the stuff that you have loaded into your project, and right now we have little check marks here because we use them, but if we don't use them, the check mark will be gone. So we just select the break that we just selected, and we place our notes here. And then if we want to alternate between those two things, just double right click on like these ghost notes here that you can see in the piano roll, and then you switch between the two things. Yeah, but let's just listen to it with those think snares. So we just took the snares that were pitched down, it sounded quite bad, and we replaced them with another snare. And this is stuff that you literally just have to find breaks that sound good. That's all it is. Not every break is gonna sound good, and not every break is created equal. So a think break is not gonna be the same thing as a think break, you know? Like every think break will sound different. But generally I think breaks are very easy to like do cool rhythmical stuff with. I think even more so than an amen break. With an amen break, in my opinion, you have to do loads of crazy edits to make it sound interesting. With a think break or something more funky like that, it is quite easy to like actually get into a flow of like actually like nice sort of like break beats, you know, and like edits and stuff like that, and you don't really have to do loads of effects and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I chose a think break here. But you can experiment with any sort of break that you want, you know. So yeah, we've placed these notes here, and now I will integrate the think break a tiny little bit more into the section that we just made, so you can see what I would do in a situation like this. So I will now completely layer the other break with a think break. So I will go back to velocity here, and then I will start layering snares into this other break. So we can just listen to this now until we're here. Yeah. So yeah, so this was basically done by ear, but like what still is bothering me a little bit is this section right here. It doesn't flow very well. I know this is very boring, but like this is, I want to like leave at least one section like this in the video so you can hear what I'm doing exactly and how often you have to listen to this stuff for it to like sound good. So yeah, what's bothering me right now is still the little like energy that I was talking about in the earlier section, where like you establish like a little flow with like these hi-hats and then they're just gone, and like it just sounds like it's a little bit like it loses energy in this bit here. So I'm now like trying to figure out a way how to like keep that energy with the hi-hats that we already have in the other break. Yeah, I think that's a nice little loop. So yeah, now we've layered a little think break here, and yeah, let's go to the next section, I guess. So just quickly to demonstrate how this would sound in a context, I would just added a bass and like some reggae samples, and like this isn't amazing, right? Like I've put basically no work into this, but you can see that like these breaks already work in like a musical context. So like this would be a sort of standard like old school Breakforce 1E type reggae jungle track, I guess. So like this was what that would sound like with a bass and some reggae samples. You know, and like it's just a few effects and like a bass line, but you can like this already like works, you know what I mean? And all we've done is just a little bit of break layering, a little bit of velocity, a little bit of making notes shorter, but the rest is you know, we already made it work. And yeah, so if you're a beginner, I think this would be a good moment to stop watching and watching it back and practicing this, because now I'm gonna get into like more complicated stuff in the next sections. So yeah. So what I thought I would do is I wanted to listen to one of my favorite jungle tracks at the moment. I mean, everyone's favorite fucking jungle track at the moment. This is a Werk by Sully, and it's one of the most like rhythmically like intricate things I've heard in a while, and like it really tickles my brain in that sense. And I wanted to show you this because the edits in this, at least in this section that I'm going to show you, are basically just what I just shown you. There's like a little few effects going on, but I'm going to dissect this and going to show you like exactly what's going on here, and how then we're going to look at how we can replicate stuff like this in a context, and like how we can add effects and stuff like that, you know. Let's just quickly have a listen to this stuff here. So let's have a listen to what's going on here exactly, because it's not quite as like the techniques that he uses are not quite as like complex as it might seem at first listen. So like let's have a quick listen to this. So here you can hear that like the snare here, like there's a little like velocity drop off here, so like there's a little like, you know, like he adds these snares as a sort of like top layer over the break, which is you know, the kick and the hi-hats here. You can hear that like there's like a little like the ones here, I think. Like there's like he like puts the velocity down, which is the same thing that I did, right? Then there's a retrigger here. Without volume though, it's just a retrigger, normal retrigger. And then he does the pitching here, but quite clever pitching, I think. Like I think this is a nice fill here. You know, it's quite melodic as well. Like it just fits perfectly. Also, what's going on here is he layered a cymbal over the top. If you pay attention, you can hear that like there's a cymbal loop going on, which isn't part of the main break. There we go. Yeah. There's a little time stretch thing going on here, which I'm going to show you later. This here. There's a little granular time stretching going on, but let's ignore that for now. And then he starts layering this other break, which I don't know my breaks as well as I should, but I think it's a Soul Pride or something like that. But yeah, there's quite a lot of reverb on it, but still he like alternates between the think break, which is the main break, and the other break. So like if you pay attention to like what's going on here. And then he does like retriggering with like a flanger or something like that. That's what gives it like this sort of like weird like wobbly kind of character. Yeah, and but you know, other than like the reverb and the little flanger here, like this is just the techniques that we used so far, just used extremely well, and like it sounds very clean. And also rhythmically, this is the same 4 bars basically, just with like alterations, you know. So we have like the sorry, you know, that's the same as here. Yeah. And then he just does like little alterations. Yeah, it's you know, it's the same sort of thing. And then I think here this should also be similar-ish to the other sections. Yeah. Yeah. yeah, so like he loops a section, and then he like builds upon those sections and like does alterations. So like nothing is really the same, but you still have like the same sort of flow. And I think like this is how you do this sort of break work perfectly. And yeah, Sully is absolutely fucking amazing, and it's definitely a thing that is worth studying. I think if you want to get good at like rhythm, you know, because like all of this flows like so perfectly well, and yeah, it's just incredible, and like none of it is like mind-blowing in the sense of, you know, like how did he do that sound or whatever. You know, there are Sully tunes where it's completely crazy. Hey, it's me again. I just want to say I said delays, and what I mean is phasers, probably, or flangers. You know, probably flanger. I meant flanger. One of those things. Hey, so day 2 of doing this. We will now get into a little bit more complex edits with FL Slicer. You notice the slicer window that we have here, and what we will now do is this break, this think break, I've auto sliced this to like 1/8 notes, which you can do if you load in a break and you click on the slicer icon here. You can say, oh, I want to chop this in like 1/8 notes, and then the break will get sliced in even spaces in 1/8 notes, which is quite nice sometimes, especially if you have a very quantized break. But what that does to a break like this is if you have a break roll that will, you know, like have both of those 16th notes in the same break, you know, and that's not necessarily what we want. So to add a slice here, you can go into this little, you click on the slice here, you see the little preview window where you click there, you can preview it, and then you can add a slice here. So let's just like approximate the middle of this, right click and then click on split slice, and now we have a nice little, so this isn't perfect because it's a break that was played by a human, but that's not basically what you want, you know, like you don't want the notes to be too short. I think I've approximated the middle pretty well. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, let's do it to this roll as well, and split slice here, and then we can see that, yeah, this is updated. By the way, if you do edits, right, and you do something like that where you split a slice, let's just do it on the first one, split a slice, it will completely delete everything you did. To prevent that, you just do your edits in here, you know, like in a different thing, and then you like do a new pattern, and then you edit the slices, and then if you go back to the original pattern, that pattern will still be there. It's just a little ease of life tip, I guess. Yeah, if you've done something incorrectly, so like I've split this first slice and we don't want that, you just go to the slice that you want to remove and you just click remove slice, and it will unslice that, and you have the first kick again. You want to do that with the second slice. So if you cut something in 2 halves, you go to the second half, remove that slice, and will be added back to the first half. So yeah, that's something you can do. Also, something you can do is you can see this kick and this kick is basically identical. What you can do is you can reverse this, and then you have a normal kick and a reverse kick. And then if you listen to this snare and to this snare, it's also similar. So we can just reverse this snare here, and then we have a reverse kick and a reverse snare, and then we have all the little edits going on here, and then we can basically start manipulating this break more intricately, and that's basically covering everything that I do with FL Slicer. So now you know everything you need to know about FL Slicer, at least in the way that I use it. So now that we've done this, we can we can do some more edits. So one edit that I quite like always is the pitch roll. So to do a little pitch roll, we can just take this here, slice this into 16th notes, and then we just do like a little pitch roll here, like this. Yeah? Doesn't sound very good here, so let's move this here, make the notes a little bit shorter, place another snare, and listen to it again. Yeah, so we've done a little pitch roll here. And we use the reverse kick that we put in here. If you're working with audio, just take a kick and reverse it. It's very easy. But you know, like I like having a little patcher around, slicer. So yeah, let's do this. Then another little pitch thing that I like to do is if we have like a little roll here, like this, just copy that over twice, select all of it, then pitch it all the way up, yeah, and then you make it shorter. So to make something shorter like this, you select some notes, and you see there is a little arrow sign on the right of those notes. So you want to hold down Alt, you want to click and then drag, and then it like basically makes it shorter, but snaps to a grid, you know, like it snaps to like all of these notes here, note grid lines here, which is quite nice. So we want to like make this twice as fast because we pitched it up twice as much. So now what you can get is you can get like a really like drilly sounding type thing. And then we take this reverse snare and like fade it into the next snare basically. Doesn't sound very good here, does it? Yeah, so what I'm thinking here is like using that reverse snare here as a sort of like freeze type effect. You know, where like in Ableton you can do that with beats mode, for example, where it just reverses the slice and you like change the tempo or whatever. And then let's do something really stupid and just go back to velocity and fade this in here. Yeah, for example. So yeah, that's a few edits you can do. What you can also do is you all have all of these values here, of course. Now we go to node pan, and now we can change the panning. So if it's more left or right, of the note. So right now everything's perfectly center, but if we, for example, go to this roll here, so we will just alternate that down and then up, and then a little bit more down and a little bit more up. So now it like goes, you know, left, right, a little bit more as the roll goes. So yeah. Very quickly before we do more panning, please be aware that it can be extremely jarring to pan something too far left or right. Like, yeah, people think it's cool, and it is subjective, but I'm trying to teach you how I do things, and I never go over half. Like, this is as far as I pan, you know, at least with drums, because yeah, if you do quick edits and then it like pans to left and right, like my brain spins out, and I assume most other people's brains also spin out. And yeah, you know, just because you can do something really extremely, don't necessarily do it. You know, that's yeah. Please keep that in mind. If you want to do it, you can do it, of course. But I would never do that anymore. It sounds like dog shit, I think. So, you know, just as a tip. But yeah, we've done a little panning thing here. So let's pan this one on one side and this one on the other side, which I wouldn't do in a song, but we're here to demonstrate edit techniques. So yeah. So maybe what would be cool here now is, because like this is like pan to the left and pan to the right, just like use this as a layer to like the actual break going on. So I've just added like the reverse snares again. So let's listen to how that sounds. You know, and now we have like a nice little like layer with like these things here. Let's turn the volume down a little bit to like. That's pretty cool, I think. But we can also just do like a little fade. Oh shit. Select these so you don't change the other note values. Do like a little fade with this. You know, and now just with panning, I've just changed this panning here, left and right as well. Now just with panning, we've got like a very cool stereotype thing going on here, right? Yeah. Right. So let's talk about the cutoff and resonance stuff that you can do in Slicer as well. So we just do like one of these like first bar offbeat kind of things, and then we just copy this over again, and then we just build upon this, I guess. Oh, stupid. Control B, right, and then right. So we've now got this going on. Actually, let's do this here. Just because of the stuff that we want to do, or that I want to do now. So right. So let's add a snare roll here all the way, and then cut this down, 30-second notes, yeah, that's fine. Sounds like shit, so let's do a little fade in here. Right, and now let's go to the values here. Note filter cutoff frequency and note filter resonance. So the cutoff frequency, is, think of this as a normal filter. Let's just open the kilohertz one. Let's just think of a normal high pass filter. Yeah. So the cutoff frequency is, you know, where that filter sits here, and the resonance is this thing here. So like there's a little boost where this gets cut off, right? And you have that built into a slicer, and you can do that with node values here. So what I want to do is I want to go to the cutoff frequency, and I'm going to go all the way down and go up to half. Yeah. And then we want to go to resonance, and we want to do the exact opposite of that. We go up and then down. So like this. And then we have a nice little filter envelope on these snares here. Like I said, you can also just do that without the resonance here. But it just sounds like normal filter thing. So like to get like an actual filter effect, kind of, you know, you want to like automate the resonance here. If you go too harsh on the resonance, you get like really like extreme sort of peaks. Probably because the cutoff frequency is quite extreme as well. Let's just go a little bit easier on the cutoff frequency. Yeah, it doesn't sound good. So you're like, you know, you have to like figure out a little bit like what the right amount of resonance here is. But I always like rule of thumb is you go harsher on the cutoff frequency than you go on the resonance. So you can get like really cool effects with that sort of stuff, you know, and then yeah, just so it's pitch like not pitch. Let's filter this down as well. So what I've done there, I've shortened the notes, and then I've cut it down to like the quickest setting, basically, which is 128th notes or something like that. Stupid. Yeah, I know, it doesn't matter, but like the fastest setting on the chopper. So where that also sounds good is if you go to the ghost snare here in the roll. Let's take this one. If you do that here, and then we have like this little effect here. And then we can do the cutoff filtering stuff again here on this stuttery thing. And now I've just done like more pitching stuff. you know, and then we could just add a little bass line to this. And then we have a rock out jungle track, I guess. But yeah, you know, like this is just all of the stuff that you can do in Petra, which is really Slicer. I always say Petra. I'm sorry, Slicer. So now we're gonna talk about automation in the piano roll. First of all, I've shown you this filter here and said that this is a high pass filter and you're automating that. Of course, I'm talking about a fucking low cut filter because I'm a moron. It's not late, but I've been awake for a while, so you know, that's that also. But yeah, so I have this filter on here now, which you can take any filter, any plugin, any value, all of that stuff. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to show you now is you can do everything you want in a plugin. But we're gonna take a filter because it is just, you know, would make sense to like use a filter in this situation. So I just have this normal filter here, and I want to now automate this cutoff, ideally in the piano roll, which I don't really do. But if you are a piano roll enthusiast, or you are gonna turn out to be, which I hope, because the piano roll is fucking amazing, then you can also automate values in here with the node stuff. So to do that, we go to last tweaked, which is how you automate plugin parameters in FL Studio. And what you want to click on is edit events in piano roll. So you have edit events and edit events in piano roll. For this to work, you have to have your pattern selected, and I think also the piano roll open for that pattern. I'm not sure, but it I always have, and sometimes it doesn't work. So you know, I think that's what you have to do. But yeah, well, we can just actually try this out. We can just click here, last tweaked. Yeah, edit events in piano roll is grayed out, so we just open our piano roll again, and then we go last tweaked. This is our cutoff. Yes, we want to edit events in piano roll, and then all of your stuff is gone. So if you click now, something different happened. You can now see a yellow square, rectangle in the piano roll, right? So what if we click and drag? It's like, oh, it's like different steps here now. What if you right click and drag? Oh, it's a ramp, like with the other values, but instead of like different steps, we now have a smooth ramp. So if we play this now, our filter's doing things, because now we are automating the filter's parameters in the piano roll. So we want to like initialize this all the way at the bottom, because that's where the default value is. So I want to filter this out here, yeah, to like a certain degree, and I click and drag on the steps here, and just have this there, you know, and then we and that's just all there is to say about plugin automation. I can just open this quickly, and then we can play the pattern again. And this can be extremely useful for edits, if you can just automate certain parameters directly in the piano roll. And it also has the added effect of making your clip look really cool, because you can see like a little your automation like in the clip, and it looks very very cool, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you automate parameters in the piano roll. I've just recorded a future chapter, and I thought I would just quickly go into another thing in the piano roll that is really cool. which is pitch bending. So I've loaded in 2 samples here, which is a time stretch snare, which we're gonna get into as well, and a just an 8-inch kick here. So if you go to your note here, and then in the top left corner where this color thing is, there's 2 little symbols there. The bottom symbol is placing slide notes. So if you place a note now, you can see in the right corner of that note there's a little triangle. That's not on this note here. This is on a the triangle is on this note. And now every note we place has this triangle on it. So if we want to deactivate that, we just click the slide note again, and then everything will be normal again. Or we click a note that doesn't have a slide on it, and then we will be placing normal notes. And then to place slide notes again, we click on one with a slide note, and then we'll be placing slide notes again. You will learn this, but yeah, just maybe write that down somewhere. It's important. But yeah, what slide notes do is, if you layer 2 of those notes together, then now this note will slide up to the note here over the duration of the length of this slide note. It's hard to explain, but I'm just listening to it. Right? So this is still the normal pitch, and then over the course of this, it will pitch up from here to here. Yeah. And then we can place multiple notes as well. You know, you can do all sorts of weird, crazy pitch shifting here. That's what I came up with, which sounds quite funny, I think. Woo! You know, but yeah, that's just done with slide notes. And you can do the same with like crash cymbals and get like a nice little tape stop effect. So if we do this here, and we do like a slide note down here, sorry. A little scratch effect here. You know, and that's what you can do with slide notes. You can also just go to your jungle break and just do it with the snares here. Whatever, you know, but like you can play slide notes, that's all I wanted to see. See, I just can't concentrate on shit. Alright everyone, we now come to my favorite FL Studio plugin, which is the Granulizer. You can use the Granulizer for, in my opinion, the greatest edits that you can do with breakbeats. So we're gonna learn how to do that now. First of all, what is the Granulizer? The Granulizer is a very, very simple granular sampler. Look into what granular sampling is. Other people can explain that a lot better than I can, but basically it plays a sample at a different speed. In our case, always slower, basically, than the original sample, and then it plays that back, and then it fills out the space that would be left. You know, if you play something slower, it will be pitched down, but the Granulizer doesn't do that. So what happens is it plays the sample slower, and if it reaches the end of where it would be, it just fills the space out with repeating the bit that it just played until it reaches like a next sort of like threshold value of like where the sample would continue. It's hard to explain, but you will hear what I mean. So we will do some granulized snares. I have isolated the snare from the break, and you just open the sample any way you want, and you go to this little sample preview thing, right click, and you open in new fruity Granulizer channel. And there's the Granulizer. And that's all we have here. So let's go in here and just place some notes in the piano roll. Let's just do like every 2 beats, right? So first thing you notice is that it's quieter, which, you know, just make it louder. No, it's not really much difference to what the original sample is, except it's like pitched down a little bit. But yeah, you can see all of these like different values, right? And what I always do is I always go to presets and I go to twice slower, time stretch, twice slower, and I go from there. If we play it from now, if we play it now, we can hear, okay, it's like, there's like a time stretch effect now. So we're gonna ignore the effects, the transients, and the time thing for now. We're only gonna look at the first 4 values here. So we have attack, hold, grain spacing, and wave spacing. So the attack is, I think, when the effect starts after you hit the note. Oh no, it's the attack of the grain. I've learned something just now. Okay, and the hold is like how long that the grain is played. So these are like the length of the different grains. So if you can, if I have this high, you can hear that it's like less stuttering. Oh it's more stuttering, but like the stutters are longer. And now if I go here, you can barely hear the stutter anymore because all the stutters are so short. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we go up here. You know, like it gets faster. So this is how you have control over that. Go back to the first thing. Grain spacing is, I think, how many grains there are playing. No, it's how many grains it tries to make. Okay, I'm learning something right now as well. And then we have the wave spacing, which should be... It's a sample playback. Okay, so sample playback, how many grains it tries to do, how long the grains are, and what the attack of the grains are. So, yeah. I don't know why I'm trying to teach you something that I don't know, but we've just figured it out on our own very quickly. So, yeah. I just twist knobs randomly, which is what you should do as well, basically, because that's how you get really cool sounds. But yeah, let's just play this for a while and like try to you know, try to find a snare that sounds good. Right, so let's just take this snare here. What we will do here is, if we place this just on the playlist, we can either consolidate this, which would render it out as a sample, like the time that we selected, or we can right click here and says quick render as audio clip, yeah, and then we'll also render that as a sample. I will consolidate this now because I want to show you the keyboard shortcut, which is control, well, let me just check this. Yeah, Control, Alt, and C for consolidate, and then rendering to this file, start, and there is your clip here. It will automatically group the channel that was on it and muted. If you would just delete the clip, and to ungroup this, right click and then press N, or right click and press ungroup. But you know, that's just a small kind of thing. So now we have a sampler channel with it's actually not a sampler channel, it's a audio clip. So we want to open this in a new sampler channel and then delete the audio clip, I guess. And then we have a new sampler channel with the time stretch snare. So now we can incorporate this into our break, which should be this one, I think. Yeah. Which makes it louder, we can go to the little sampler channel here and click normalize, and we'll make it as loud as possible at the loudest possible point of the sample. Now we'll play the entire sample every time we hit a note. To prevent this, we just use the envelope here and set a little, just normal ADSR curve with everything at the bottom except for hold, which is all the way up. So now we can also do this. It doesn't really make sense, but I'm just showing you what you can do with this stuff here. Maybe layer the snare here. But it gives a nice little tonality to stuff, I guess. Yeah, that's how you use the Granulizer. So you've noticed, of course, that there's more values here. So the panning effect here separates like every grain in the stereo spectrum, so you can get really cool like stereo effects here. Also makes it easier to hear the grain, so like you can pay attention to like what it actually does. So yeah, all of these other knobs are kind of shitty, but yeah, the panning is quite cool. get really nice like metallic sort of effects with those sort of grain spacing, wave spacing kind of things. The transients here is like how much it keeps of the transient, I think. Doesn't seem to do anything, at least not in this sense. And then the time is where the thing starts. You can press this loop button, so like if it reaches the end it doesn't stop but starts at the beginning again. Which is cool if you use like the reverse function, if you put the wave spacing in like the negative values. You can also like manually hold stuff here if you click there. And you can of course automate that as well. So yeah, but you can do loads of cool stuff with Granulizer, and like if you're having the impression that like, oh, I'm not really learning anything, it's like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing as well. I'm literally just fiddling around with these knobs and trying to like get cool sounds out of it. And how we can capture these sounds we will learn now. So to capture all the cool sounds that you're making, first of all assign the Granulizer to a mixer channel normally, and then you open the FL Studio plugin called Edison. Every FL Studio has this. It's called Edison, and it's a little recorder that you can put just on your mixer channel, press record, and then record everything that goes into there. Don't forget that this is set by default to 5 minutes. We're gonna set this to 60 minutes now, just so if we go over these 5 minutes, which I hope we don't, because we're very boring, we don't you know, lose any audio. Make this a habit to do that, because it will be a problem, trust me. It happened to me loads of times. So yeah, just press record here. It says on input, so it doesn't actually record yet until we start playing audio. So we will just do that, and then we will fiddle around with the Granulizer. Cool, that should be enough. Yeah, if we record everything, there's two things you have to do now. First of all, you go all the way in the right corner of this, and the symbol, which in the tool tab it says drag copy sample selection. You click and drag, just drag your sample in here, and you have your sample in the playlist, and then you delete your Edison because it will eat up your RAM. Because like the sample will be loaded into the RAM, and you don't want that because we already have the sample now. So yeah, so now we have a sample right here that we can now use to make more edits with all of the stuff that we just did. Cool. So now we are in the playlist. So I've made this little thing loop here normally, and then above that we have our edits here muted right now. So what we first want to do is we want to just take any clip of the sample and we want to place it as a sample here, right? We can delete this up there actually. So what we're now going to do is we're going to try and you know, combine sort of the edits that we did in the piano roll here in these pattern clips and the edits that we just recorded as audio, because now it becomes a little bit too complicated for working with Slicer, I think. So what we're going to use here is three things. So we want to use the draw tool, which is, you know, how you place notes. We want to use the slice tool, which you can slice clips with. Yeah, delete this, for example, or not. And we are going to use the slip tool. The slip tool is right next to the slice tool. Yeah. So with the slip tool, if you go to an audio clip or a pattern clip for that example, you can click and drag and then scrub through the sample. Yeah. So like you're gonna take like a different part of the audio file, but like it doesn't make the clip longer that you have here. So that will snap to the grid normally as everything else does, but like everything else, if you hold Alt, it doesn't snap to the grid anymore, and so we can now just synchronize this to the actual time here. Yeah, and then we can just do some edits, and I will not talk during this because you can see what I'm doing, and it's just a demonstration of how you can use this technique to make cool edits, I think. So I will just get something ready real quick, which is all the different components of this break loop here, already pre-sliced, so I can place them again, and then I will just get onto editing here. So yeah. All of this sounds really bad right now, I'm very sorry. This is just what making music is like though. There was a part in that sample earlier that I found that was really good. Probably just have to try and find that again, or we just listen to the entire sample again. It should be like here. There we go. This is the kind of bit that I want. It's really glitchy, but you can probably get some cool sounds out of that. Take the clip that we did before that, this little clip here, and then just take this little fill here. raining. You'll probably hear that from the microphone, because you can always hear it on this microphone. But yeah, something like that. You know, we've now did like a few little edits here, and then we combined this stuff with some granular edits that sound awful, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Yay! So I just remembered that another cool thing about Granulizer is automating different values for like transition effects. So if we listen to like this little bit here, we're starting with a very jittery, fast, granular thing that basically goes on forever because of this loop thing. And we're gonna automate the wave spacing here. And we're gonna automate this to 0.5, which is where the turn is between playing it backwards and playing it forwards. And I'm looking for the granulizer, please. Thank you. Let's detach this so it doesn't go away if we click around here. Yeah, so now already you can hear. So I want to actually do this from here, I think. Yeah. Automate this all the way down. And then we can just do a pitch shift here. Yeah, looks like this. Now you have like a nice little transition to whatever. Yeah. Sounds like shit, but you know what I mean. Like you can fiddle around with like the little parameters here pretty nicely, and yeah, this sounds nice. You know, with the pitch, automate the panning up. We've made a fucking riser from a snare. Cool. Whoa, Granulizer. Fucking Granulizer. Nice one. So, I've asked one on Reddit, and one of the questions I've got to talk about is to go into the edits in Microphyst is a Cunt in that breakdown bit where it says jungle music and then all the edits come. And I've now shown you and basically everything that is going on here already. So let's have a listen, and I'll point out what exactly is going on here. So yeah, we have the drop here, and it's gonna be
jungle music.
Right. Okay. So we have the tape stop thing here. Yeah. I haven't recorded that yet, but I record that now, so I have shown you already. That's the pitch bend in the piano roll. Then we have the little re-triggered snare roll thing that's really fast with the filter on it. That's if you don't remember, that's this thing here. Yeah, that's just on an amen. Yeah. Then that's the pitch bend granulizer snare. Yeah. That's a sample snare, and then a very high, like a high-pitched snare roll that's re-triggered very fast. You know what this is? This is the fast re-triggered hi-hats. This thing here is a another granulizer thing. Yeah. Then a Fink snare and a filtered in re-triggered hi-hat again. Just pitched up snares, pitched up and down snares. Granulizer snare. Then a snare roll that's filtered in. Bass sound. So the amen crash, and then a pitched up granulizer snare. Re-triggered snares, I think, and then a tape stop pitch bend crash cymbal kick. And then a scream over a granulizer snare, and then a re-triggered pitch down amen snare. Then a re-triggered snare again, and that's the ghost snares from the amen, pitched left and right and re-triggered, and a pitch bend crash cymbal again, and then that's the same hats that are pitched up and fastened. There's a Venetian snare sample from I think Eurocore MVP or Gentleman, one of those things. So that's an amen roll layered with a pitched up and down granulizer snare. Well, that's I don't know why I did that, but that sounds cool. Just granulizer snares pitched up and down. Just re-triggering again, and then a lot of pitch bend here. Granulizer snare. And this is a granulizer snare, like doing like a little sort of thing with pitching, and then that's faded in. And then just another pitching down granulizer snare. But yeah, it's not that complicated. Like, we've done all of this stuff already. It's just like in a tune and sequenced in a way where I spent some time on it. But yeah, we've learned all of the stuff in this already, and I hope that you are now, from watching the video, at the point where you can hear this stuff, just, you know, like how it's used, and yeah. By the way, thanks to the guy who asked me about this track still after 6 years. Glad that it's still on people's minds, at least one of my tracks. So I just recorded a 20-minute long video on VST effects and how you can use them to spice up your breaks a little bit, but OBS didn't record the desktop audio, which is amazing. So we now have to go through what I did. You see the result, you don't see the process, but I'm trying to explain as best as I can and what exactly is going on here. And you know, it's probably gonna end up being a little bit shorter than 20 minutes, which is good for you as well. But let's just have a listen to the break sequence as it is right now. Yeah. So yeah, very first of all, we have these little automation clips here, which trigger a VST from kilohertz called Haas. Haas is the scientific name for the sort of effect that happens when you delay one side of the stereo signal by a few milliseconds. So imagine you have a break in mono, you know, playing the same signal on both sides at the exact same time, and then you delay just one of them tiny little bit, and your brain is like, oh, the stereo, like one ear hears something different than the other ear. There's width to the sound, and that's a technique for stereo that a lot of VSTs and a lot of stuff uses. And if you don't have the kilohertz Haas VST, there's almost definitely a million different free alternatives for this. Yeah, I like the kilohertz one to demonstrate because it's very simple. So if you want to have an alternative for this, just look for Haas or stereo delay or whatever, and then you can find something like this. So yeah, I'm automating the delay time, so like how far, like how intensely the signal is delayed. And then if you pay attention, every time this automation clip here goes up, make it a little bit bigger, every time this automation here goes up, you can hear that the break gets stereo width. So let's have a listen to this. Yeah, it's very subtle, but it like adds so much to the break. If we don't do this, it sounds like this. You know, small thing, and I've just done that all throughout this little thing here and just added some stereo to like certain sections, like here for example. Yeah, just a normal kind of thing. But yeah, just you look for stereo delay. In FL Studio, by the way, if you have a sample, if you go to the sample editor here, and you go to the little light bulb icon here, it switches views to like more things, and there's a stereo delay knob here where you can do that in the sample, like hard coded into the sample. So if we do this here, you can see that like the waveform changes, and then like it just adds like a little bit more stereo. You know, like it's very stereo now. It was stereo before, so like maybe not a good way to like show this with this sample, but like if we stereo, less stereo, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just a cool thing you can do with like samples in FL Studio. But yeah, not I don't think other DAWs have that. Yeah, they might, but I don't know about it. So yeah, cool. So yeah, we have the Haas thing going on here now. The second VST that I added is also by kilohertz, but this is also something that you can just get simple alternatives for very easily, which is a flanger. This is a normal flanger, straight up just a normal flanger, and what I'm doing here is I'm automating up, I'm automating two parameters. The mix here, you can see the mix here goes up, and then I'm also automating the feedback up, so not next to it. So let's just have a listen to this without the automation here. Yeah, and then we listen to it with the automation. You know, adds like a lot of like really glitchy sort of vibes to that. So yeah, I'm not going to explain what a flanger is because I can't competently do that. But yeah, what I've done here is basically just like, yeah, just fade it into the effects and then leave it playing for a little bit and like play a little bit with the feedback, so like you get like a tonality like glitchy sort of thing to the break. So yeah, let's listen to it again, and I'll play around with the feedback knob myself, so you can see that like there's like a little bit actual like stuff going on here. You know, and then like it just gets like more feedback here as the sound goes on, and it just adds like a nice little sort of transition effect. What I noticed though when I did that is that the transition here was like a bit weird, like it was quite harsh to like the first beat of the next thing. You know, like it was just like a little bit like, oh, there's all this stereo information going on, and all of a sudden it's cut away. So what I did is I just added like a little riser sample here. And now it sounds like already like a little bit more like coherent with like, because your brain thinks, oh, like there's a build up going on here to something, and then like it like there's, you know, like it's a little build up thing, and then there's a drop with like the normal non-affected break again, and it's just like, yeah, it's just like a little arrangement trick, I guess, to go from like, you know, really complex weird sounds to like a little bit more like held back. But yeah, it's just a little thing of like, might also just be preference, you know. Yeah, so the next thing I've done is I've added a VST called D-Blue Tape Stop. D-Blue Tape Stop is made by a guy called D-Blue, who also made the very famous D-Blue Glitch VST. And I've said in my 20-minute video that I will not talk about the D-Blue Glitch VST, because it's a VST that like will actively completely ruin how you learn how to make good breaks. D-Blue Glitch is something that you will be able to use quite well, I think, once you've learned how to do good breaks. But right now, where you are at when you're watching this video, it will just, you know, it will make it too tempting to like overdo it, and especially with D-Blue Glitch, it's like has a very specific sound to a lot of the modules that are in there, and you will sound like everyone else and like not interesting at all, and you know, it's just not a good thing to use, I think. I think D-Blue Glitch ruined Breakcore. That's not true, but you know, like it's not a good VST, I think, to learn how to make these kind of things. But there are two free VSTs that he did, which is Tape Stop and Stretch, which I'm showing you here, which are quite good to like spice up breaks a little bit. So Tape Stop is literally what it says, you know, it emulates the sound of you pressing stop on a tape, you know, like when like the, you know, like a tape's playing and you press stop, but like because it's like a mechanical thing, like it doesn't immediately stop, it like slows down very fastly and you get like a drop in pitch, and that's what emulates that. So yeah, we I'm using it here. Yeah, just automating the trigger here. It's just 3 values, you know. The only 2 values that interest us is the slowdown, which is how fast it slows down, and the trigger, which is triggers the effect, you know. So yeah, I'm just made a little automation clip that triggers that. So yeah, and just placed it all around here. You know, and then I automate the slowdown a little bit. So like the slowdown here is a lot slower than it is here. So like you get like a nice little like variation in tape stuff. So you know, it's like a very slow thing, and then it just fast, slow, slow, fast. You know, and that's all I'm doing here. Yeah. If you follow my thing, if you're in FL Studio, you can do this in the piano roll with the slide notes, but deep blue tape stop is cool, especially if you're like just working with like a lot of samples and like a lot of stuff going into one mixer channel, and you can just affect the whole like bus that you routed it to, which is, you know, cool. Then we have deep blue stretch, which has a little bit more parameters. It also has a trigger and a hold thing, which okay, differently. So deep blue stretch works kind of like FL Granulizer, where like it's a granular delay kind of thing, but like it stretches a sample with like different grains. So you have a trigger which says please stretch it. You have a ratio, which is like how much do you want to stretch it. You have a multiplier if you like, if this knob isn't enough on like how long you want to stretch things, you can multiply this value by a certain amount. So like you can go up to times 20 and then just stretch it like a minute, basically, retarded. And then you have grain size, which is like how many grains you have. So like I'm gonna play with this in a second and you can hear what it does. Crossfading is like, you know, like how much it goes in between the grains. And then we have a buffer size, which which is not of interest to us right now, because we're just affecting like one beat of a sample or like of a break sequence. So we don't need a buffer size of 20 seconds if like what we're affecting is shorter than a second. We can just put the buffer size all the way down or just leave it, you know, it doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, and then the whole thing is like, yeah, I'm just gonna show you what the whole thing does. It just like resamples a little bit of the the last grain that it played. So there's a stretch effect, and then if we put the hold on, you know, like you get like a little like sort of like glitchy effect, because it like resamples the last grain that you played when you trigger the hold here. But yeah, so like, yeah, we just have this little that's the stretch ratio, and then we have the grain size. You know, and it shows those values ish for you know, just because it sounds the best. So like, yeah, we'll just play the sequence again. You know, it's just a little stretchy thing. All it is. You know, very simple. So that's what deep blue stretch does. So you can, you know, add like time stretching to your breaks wherever you want, and, you know, like spice it up a little bit, you know, a few snares here and there, and, you know, like get some variation going to your breaks, which is, you know, I think quite cool. So next thing I'm doing is I have a reverb set, because like we have this transitional thing here with the flanger. But you can also do like really cool like sort of stoppy kind of effects with a reverb. So what I'm doing here is I like cut out like all of the break sections here basically, and just you know, automated a reverb wet level on here. You can use any reverb for this, of course. This is just a reverb, it's nothing special. But yeah, so you know, it's just doing it by ear, putting like a reverb on it, you know, like quite a heavy reverb, like the size of this is quite high, and like the decrease is not as high, but, you know, like it gives it like a really wide sort of cavernous kind of thing. And I think it's a quite nice thing to like do in this break, because we have like established here in the first section that there's a little like transitional section here going on in the first 2 bars of the second half of the phrase. And then we just mix that up here with, instead of like a flanger, we just add a reverb here. You know, and like it sounds good, especially with the riser here. You know, we have like a little, yeah, I don't know. It's just like a trick that you can have. You know, like you can, basically like how I use this is that, you know, if you have like a phrase going on and you have like a snare, you know, and you want to stop the thing, like you still want to stop the break, and it's just not like kick, snare, nothing, and then the break goes on, you know, you have like a big reverb hit where like the break stops, but you still have like audio information from like the break just through like the tail of the reverb. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, it's just like another technique of like how you can spice up breaks. It's my mantra. Spicing up breaks. Spice up the breaks. So yeah, and the other thing that I'm doing is I have loaded in the FL Studio Delay 3. You can use any delay in any DAW. The only thing that is important here is the time. So you want to use a delay time very quickly, very short delay time, and you want to turn off tempo sync if your delay has tempo sync. If it doesn't have tempo sync, then don't worry about it. If it does have tempo sync, turn that off. And just set the delay time to very fast. So this is 10 milliseconds, the delay time. So yeah, I'm also automating the delay time here a little bit. So let's turn the automation off first and then just have a listen to how that sounds. You know, just adds tonality to it, like the short delay time. Yeah, just sounds tonal, you know. You know, you can just add like a little bit of tonality to that just through delay time. So yeah, I'm automating this a little bit. It sounds actually like a little bit better without the yeah, it's just a delay kind of thing. If you want to hear a very good audio example of how that sounds really well, is if you go to a track that I don't know if I have it actually, but we will find that out pretty quickly if I have it or not. Is a track by Sully called Fives. It's spelled like the word fives, but instead of an F, it's the number 5. Anyway, I'm gonna look that up and then we're gonna listen to that in the next section. So yeah, this is Sully's Fives. This is an effect that is, I think, achieved with delays. It might be that he did it in a different way, but you can definitely get that sort of effect with a delay if you're clever and you spend some time doing it, and a lot of time doing it, because you have to tune the delay. But you know, like what happens here is like there's percussion going on, and then he makes the percussion into the melody just through delays. So let's listen to that quickly. A lot of Sully in this video. It's very good with breaks. Yeah, it's just delays, I think. Fucking incredible. Sounds so good. It's like the breakdown section where this is also really nice. Yeah, and that's just, you know, kind of stuff you can achieve with breaks. We just listen to my breaks immediately after. It just sounds like dog shit, but you know, that's just what making music is like. Don't actually know how he gets it so high, but can't be asked to figure it out right now. But you know, it's just like you can do quite interesting things with delays, I think. So woo. Let's do a little excursion quickly. I want to do an excursion into a effects VST that I really like, which is Portal. And with Portal you can get really nice sounds. Portal, I think, works best if you use a sequence where you already done edits with pitching up and pitching down, because then you have a lot of material to work with. Portal is basically a granular effects thing with like, yeah, just like grain shit, like pitch. You can like randomize everything, and there's like grain delay as well, stretching stuff, and what I will do now is I will put the recorder on, and I will play this break, and I will play a little bit with Portal to scroll through some presets, and then you can hear that we have a lot of things to work with already. So let's just do that quickly. Right. So the shit at the end there, I think I quite liked for like an intro thing, you know. If you'd like to take just this right here. Yeah, and then you just and you can just copy that over. And then instead of those cuts, those grain cuts, you can just do whatever, you know. Like, let's try and find a thing that like works here, you know. There's not any effect there. I don't know what I'm doing here though. And then maybe just to do something like this here. You know what I mean? Like you can use that rhythmically in like any way you please, basically, because like, you know, like none of this really is in time. You know, like this, like it's all just really random because it slows up and slows down all the time. But you can then just like rearrange this into like rhythms, you know, like as you please. So let me just maybe, you know, like this is like 2/16 notes. We can maybe layer that over like just a normal roll. You know, you like there's just endless possibilities with like stuff like that, and yeah, I don't know, like it's just like a technique that I wanted to show off because yeah, you can get like really crazy sort of like IDM-y type sounds with that, and you know, like I forced this kind of into like this sort of framework that that we already have, you know, but like you can just imagine doing all kinds of stuff with this, but yeah, like I really like this method, and you can do this with any crazy glitch effects, you know, you can do it with deep blue glitch, you can do it with all the stuff that you want, you know, just randomly make shit and then try to like incorporate it into what you already have. It's always a good method. So yeah, that was the Portal excursion. So another question that I got was, how do you write in different time signatures? And for me, that's a very slippery slope. Because I think you can't really teach people how to develop a sense of rhythm. You know what I mean? Like that's something you either have or you don't have, or you train it or you don't train it. You know, like I can't be sitting here and be like, so that's the trick to like make good rhythms. You know, it's fucking bullshit. You know, like I think at least like I wouldn't know how to, you know, communicate to someone and I wouldn't know how someone could communicate that to me. You know, like it's either you have it or you don't have it. But there are a few things to be said about time signatures that if you have absolutely no idea what's going on, probably will be able to help you. So, and that is dividing time signatures into different subdivisions. Or like into different sections basically. So what I've done here, I've set this to 7/4, which is, you know, the Breakcore time signature. Yeah. So how we can approach this is that we divide this into two sections. Yeah, one 4/4 bar and one 3/4 bar. And already you know how to you know, structure something like that. So let's just listen to this, what I just did. You know, and then you just work in that frame. You know, you just make a you know, a one like a 4/4 bar and then a 3/4 bar. You know, and that's how you would approach something like that. So yeah. You know, and you just approach it like that, or you can do the 3/4 bar first and then the 4/4 bar. You know, if you want. I'm not gonna stop you, but it's gonna be weird, I think. But I don't know, it doesn't sound too bad actually. But you know, like you just divide it into like whatever you want. You know, you can do that with other time signatures too. You know, you can let's add time signature. So let's do 10/4. Yes. So we have 10/4 now. You know, 10/4 I think is really cool because you can do 2 4/4 bars and then you add like a 2/4 bar fill basically. You know. You know, you just divide it like that, or I don't know, like you can do 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, and then do fill just an extra beat, you know, which is probably pretty fucky, but you know, but now we're like in polyrhythm territory, at least here. But you know, it's I don't know, like just fucking divide it, and it's not you know, it's not a rocket science. Let's do 6/4. 6/4 is probably also pretty cool because you can do like a 4/4 bar and then do your little 2-bar fill, you know. Or you can just do normal 3/4, you know. But like it's you know, you can be creative with like your rhythms there. And then the second method, if you're gonna be like, I don't know, I'm gonna be really cool, I'm gonna be a 13/4, you know, something completely retarded, then you can basically just, you know, do whatever you want. So let's just imagine this is a just whatever, you know. I don't even fucking know, this is so long, like 13/4 is, you know, very long time signature, but let's just for the sake of the argument just do like weird little edits here. I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but basically what I'm saying is if you want to like go really crazy with sort of like time signatures, this is not a good example, but what I was trying to get at, but I would probably have to spend a lot of time on, is that with really crazy time signatures, what would be a cool way to like make everything really coherent is that you just start every bar with the same sort of thing, you know, like here we have a kick. You know, and then like you can just do whatever you want in like this section here, you know, and go like really crazy and make everything just really like arrhythmic and like glitchy and I don't know whatever, you know. But then you like start the bar just with a just the same sound, you know, and then you can get like kind of get away with like whatever you want really. There's this track that I really like, which I need to find quickly. Music, electronic, breakcore, and then we go to Gizmo, and I don't have it, of course. Let me just type that into here quickly, and then we can. This is riveting stuff, I know, but you know what? I'm not gonna fucking edit this out. You can suffer with me. So what's his fucking name right now? I don't know what's name, right? Forgot what it's Sick Puppy, right? So yeah, so this is a classic like re-noise breakcore video, but yeah, here there's like really crazy time signature stuff going on. I think it's like 10/4 or whatever, but like he just goes completely all out. But what he does is he starts every bar with a kick, or like every 2 bars with a kick. So then you can just do whatever you want in that framework. You know what I mean? Like you can just do really cool stuff with time signatures that way. But yeah, let's go back to our original BPM, and then we have the time signature stuff I think dealt with. That's all I can tell you. Just divide it into sections and then write it that way, and then you can get good results really quickly. Yeah.